If I gave you a button right now and told you that pressing it would instantly make you see the world the way powerful people do, would you press it? Or would you be afraid of what you might discover? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people don't lose in life because they are weak. They lose because they are naive. They assume others think like they do. They assume fairness is universal. They assume honesty guarantees respect. And that assumption is exactly why 90% of people are predictable. And predictable people are easy to control. Now, before you misunderstand this is not about becoming manipulative. It's about becoming aware. There is a difference. And by the end of this video, you'll understand that difference clearly. But first, we need to destroy a dangerous illusion. You were raised to believe that being good is enough. That if you work hard, stay humble, and treat people well, everything will eventually align. But history, and human nature, tells a more complicated story. This is what Niccolò Machiavelli understood better than almost anyone. In The Prince, he did not teach cruelty. He taught realism. He observed the world as it is, not as it should be. And that distinction changes everything. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how the most emotionally reactive person in the room usually has the least control? The one who gets angry first. The one who explains too much. The one who needs validation. They reveal themselves instantly. Their triggers are visible. Their fears are obvious. And once your fears are obvious, you can be influenced through them. This is why the first principle of thinking strategically is silence. Silence is not weakness. Silence is data collection. When you speak less, you see more. When you react less, you understand more. And most people cannot handle silence. They rush to fill it. They over-explain. They confess insecurities without realizing it. That's not evil observation. That's awareness. But here's where it gets deeper. Machiavelli understood something that most modern self-help avoids. Perception is power, not truth. Perception. People don't respond to who you are. They respond to who they think you are. If you appear unstable, they treat you as unstable. If you appear composed, they hesitate before crossing you. And hesitation is influence. Now pause for a second and think about your own life. Where have you reacted emotionally and lost leverage? Where did you reveal frustration too early? Where did you argue instead of observe? Be honest. Because this next principle only works if you're honest with yourself. Control the image. Guard the emotion. The person who controls their emotional display controls the social atmosphere. This does not mean suppressing feelings. It means choosing timing. A king does not shout to prove authority. He lowers his voice. He slows his movements. He speaks last. That delay creates weight. And most people, they rush. They want immediate validation, immediate dominance, immediate clarity. That urgency exposes them. Now here's the paradox, and this is important for retention, so listen carefully. If you use these ideas to dominate others, you will eventually lose. Why? Because short-term manipulation creates long-term distrust. Strategic thinking is not about squeezing advantage out of every moment. It's about positioning. Positioning is long-term thinking. The majority think in days. Some think in months. Very few think in years. And those who think in years are the ones who shape outcomes. Imagine entering every interaction asking yourself one question. What does this look like in 5 years? Suddenly, petty arguments disappear. Emotional reactions fade. You become selective. Selective people are powerful. Let's go deeper. Human beings are driven by two forces, fear and desire. Not logic, not morality, fear and desire. You can observe this in business, relationships, politics, everywhere. But here's the key insight. If you are unaware of your own fears and desires, you will be guided by someone else's. So the real game is self-mastery. Before you can read others, you must read yourself. What makes you insecure? What makes you desperate? What makes you react instantly? Because those are the buttons that can be pressed. And if you don't identify them, someone eventually will. This is why emotional control is not about being cold. It's about being untriggerable. Imagine walking into a room where no insult can destabilize you. No praise can inflate you. No tension can rush you. That steadiness alone shifts power. People sense it. They don't always understand it, but they feel it. And here's something most won't tell you. Kindness is strongest when it is voluntary, not compulsory. If you are kind because you need approval, it's fragile. If you are kind because you could be ruthless but choose restraint, it's respected. Now let's challenge something uncomfortable. Do you actually want to outsmart 90% of people? Because if you do, it requires detachment. You must observe patterns without emotional bias. You must admit that people act from self-interest, including you. And once you see that clearly, you stop taking things personally. That's the freedom point. When you stop taking things personally, you stop reacting impulsively. And when you stop reacting impulsively, you gain time. Time creates clarity. Clarity creates advantage. But here's the engagement question I want you to think about and answer silently to yourself. Are you currently living reactively or strategically? Reactive living feels intense. Strategic living feels calm. Reactive people feel alive in chaos. Strategic people create calm inside chaos. Now let's talk about reputation. Reputation travels faster than truth. If people believe you are disciplined, they treat you differently. If they believe you are unpredictable, they hesitate. If they believe you are desperate, they test you. So ask yourself, what silent signals are you broadcasting? You don't control gossip, but you control behavior patterns. And patterns become narratives. This is why consistency beats intensity. Anyone can act powerful for a day. Very few can remain composed for years. That consistency creates psychological gravity. People orbit stability. They distrust volatility. Now as we move deeper, and this is where most viewers would normally click away, but stay with me. The final layer is this. The goal is not to control others. The goal is to become uncontrollable. Uncontrollable by provocation. Uncontrollable by flattery. Uncontrollable by fear. When you reach that state, something strange happens. You no longer need to outsmart 90% of people. You simply operate differently. You stop playing short-term games. You stop arguing for validation. You move quietly. You build strategically. You speak selectively. And here's the twist. The moment you truly understand these principles, you become less interested in dominating others and more focused on mastering yourself. That's the real Machiavellian insight. Not cruelty, not deception, clarity. So here's your final reflection. And this is the question that will determine whether this video was just entertainment or transformation. Where in your life do you still react instead of observe? Fix that, and everything changes. And if this perspective shifted something in you, don't just scroll away. Sit with it. Rewatch parts that hit uncomfortable. Growth rarely feels pleasant. But awareness? Awareness is power. You don't need to become ruthless. You need to become aware. And awareness separates the 10% from the 90%.